Hello, welcome to my channel. We'll talk about temperance today, and before I talk about my Kate Bush song choice, I've got 4 different perspectives on this, which I think will help explain my choice of Kate Bush song. So let's start with the Rider-Waite and Pamela Colman-Smith's drawing, which is beautiful. There is a real sense of peace here. We have the angel pouring water from one cup to another. There is a meditative control, a stillness. We've got the movement of the water. And I love the beautiful flag irises in the background. The only thing that I would say about it, if we go to the Thoth, is that it can give the impression that nothing much is changing. Water's just going from one cup to another. But what I think in the Thoth we get a different emphasis on is that this is more an alchemical reaction. This is a change. Something is moving, and we've got more of the sense of the fire. This is associated with Sagittarius. There is a chemical reaction here, and 2 things are coming together, and we're going to get a third thing. I also have a little struggle with the term temperance, which may explain why Crowley chose art, or part of the reason why he chose art. We associate temperance with, well, I associate it with the church and with very puritanical views, I think, about moderation and about avoiding excess. And there is that element to it, but moderation can include, it's in the middle. We can be too restrictive, we can be too repressed. And more I'm thinking that moderation does involve movement. As soon as we get a little bit too rigid, that's when we become closed and closed-minded. And moderation involves adjustments, a little bit like when we talked about the Justice card. I love the Osho Zen word of integration. That seems really on point here. So it's about integrating both sides of ourselves, and then that relates to like the shadow element of ourselves, the bits that we project onto other people or we suppress. And then we have this absolutely stunning, and it's one of my favourite in the deck, this representation in the Marielle of the tiger moving through the water. So we have that fiery element of the tiger, and there's so much energy in this card, which I think is a really good counterbalance maybe to this more traditional card, that sense of that movement. I like to think of this card in a way as something bubbling under the surface, that maybe we need the stillness and the reflection, maybe for the integration to happen, maybe for that change and that chemical reaction. But that stillness isn't inertia. That stillness is something that enables the change. So what Kate Bush song? So the Kate Bush song is from Essential World. And it's a song that Kate Bush herself says she doesn't really know what it's about. She's said, and I will try and link an interview, there's a very short interview where she talks very briefly about this song. And there's the idea that it was really, really hard. She said it was really hard. It was one of the songs that she started first, or she knew what she was going to write for the first verse. And then it took ages for her to come up with the rest of the lyrics. And she really struggled with the instrumentation. And I think it was the last song for her to complete on that album. So there was a process in itself with this song, which I think is interesting too when we think about temperance and why I said it as it being a process. I love the video because I think that has a real temperance energy too. So it starts off with Kate Bush and she's kneeling and she's in the spotlight, and then this shower of gold comes down, which I tried to do with the gold leaf here. And then you have the whirling dervishes and you have the ballerinas behind her. But then at the end, it's like she is a little bit transformed. She's gone through a little bit of a journey in the video, because by the end, Kate Bush is dancing herself, and I love her dancing. But it is, we have the discipline and the control of the ballerinas and these whirling dervishes. And then her dance is, I mean, she could almost be dancing, letting her hair down at a wedding or something. It's really a lot less structured. It is a sort of suggests joy and surrender. She's in front of her band and her people, and she's just a joy there, which I really loved as well for this card, that sense of being in the moment. And there is a lot, I think with this card, you almost have to be, it's trying to teach us to be comfortable with uncertainty and paradoxes and things, and two things, duality, and not rushing into black and white thinking, and being in that moment, which is the present moment, isn't there? And there's that, I feel that there is that sense in the song too. But as Kate Bush herself says, she doesn't know what the song is about. I've always thought that when I first heard it, when I was about 16, I've always thought it was about a couple who, the sort of couple that argue and then they make up, and argue and make up, and their relationship oscillates from one extreme to another. And I thought the song was always saying, well, if we can take away those extremes and just live within the middle of it. And I think that is a sort of temperance message. The lyric I chose is just "You wait and see," only because I wanted that sense of movement and the expectation that is possible in the temperance. What happens when we integrate another part of ourselves that we have shut away, that we've been denying? What happens? There is going to be a change. Something is going to occur, but there is a need maybe for some sort of stillness. Maybe sometimes we disrupt change by quickly wanting to move too quickly from one thing to another, rather than trust. There's a sense of trust in that lyric. Things will work out, but we're at this point now where we don't really know what's happening. So I suppose, I don't know, have I made it any clearer about the Temperance card? In a way, I've just said lots of different ideas about it, haven't I? But I think that is consistent with the card. It is a card that is allowing lots of different ideas and things to coexist at once, as Kate Bush's song. And does it matter that she doesn't really know what the song is about? I mean, I think I've asked that question before. Maybe I asked it very early on with Man with a Child in His Eyes. I don't know. But does it matter? Or does it matter if I interpret the song differently to what Kate Bush intended? I don't think it does, because I think that is part of what art enables. It's a mirror, and a really good artist enables us to see ourselves. And then, so I think what I'm saying is, this is how I see the Kate Bush song choice. So this is how I see Love and Anger now. But if I was going through if my life was different at the moment, I might see it in a very different way. But that would be the strength of the song. So anyway, that is my take on it. I'd be interested to know what you think of this song, or what you think of the Temperance card. So leave any comments. And thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.